Hi everyone, I am Thrift Store Dave, and this week's video is part 2 in hopefully a short series of videos on items that I have bought to resell on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, but couldn't for various reasons. Either they were not as valuable as I thought they were, not as desirable, wrong place, wrong time. But my hope is that you guys can again learn from my experience and not buy these items. Or at least not spend as much on some of those items when trying to resell them. So without further ado, let's start with some lessons that I have humbly learned. And at the end of the video, stay tuned because I've got a clever idea that I got from a viewer of the last video like this that I'm gonna be able to hopefully declutter and get rid of some of these items, okay? But as you can see, I've got bags of stuff, boxes of stuff, even more boxes of stuff. So let's talk about what not to buy. Something that I bought fairly recently was something that I thought was valuable. I think I got tricked by Google Lens. It was one of these antique lamps. It looked like George Washington or some sort of British aristocrat maybe, who knows. It wasn't working, but I thought because it's ceramic and old that it might be worth something. Google Lens told me these could be upwards of $40 to $50. Something with that search algorithm was wrong. I haven't been able to get rid of it, so I'm gonna find a way to get rid of it now, not keeping it in my store. Another thing that I got for free many videos back, I was invited to an estate sale clean out where I was able to just pick around, and I got this silver tray. It's silver plated, it's got glass inside. What I learned when trying to list it is that it will probably cost as much to ship it due to its weight as it's worth. And so glad I paid $0 for it because I couldn't sell it for even $10. Gonna try to sell it at a garage sale and get less for it, but move it along. Hats. I do a lot of sales in hats. I've gotten pretty good at it, but I still miss on occasion. And so this is a pile of hats that I've been unable to sell over the last couple years. Some brief lessons I've learned on that. One is, again, use your Google Lens. Also use your eBay comps to see if anything's going, but not more than one. Another thing that I really picked up on was youth hats tend not to sell, or they take forever to sell. So even though it's a clever color for white socks or it's a Mickey Mouse hat, for some reason the youth hats just do not go, and they're not worth investing even $1 in because the time you spend, again, just not worth it. So youth hats I would probably pass on going forward. This is another youth hat, couldn't sell even though the Cavs made the playoffs. What can you do? Lesson learned. I will buy lots of hats on shopgoodwill.com, and I will have done careful comps in advance. I will figure out which ones I know I can resell. So even if I get burned on one or two, no big deal. And then I'll have this tonnage here of other hats that I'll look through, sometimes find a pleasant surprise, but sometimes not. And then I can just get rid of these and fire sell them. But I'll still have made my money from the stuff I initially did my homework on. One other quick hat lesson that I learned was condition. You have to still inspect stuff. This hat, at face value, looks like a cool old corduroy flat cap. Sold it to someone who then pointed out that when you take the snap off, on the inside it is bleached. So the outside is a different color than this side. He didn't like it, he returned it. So lesson learned, again, continue to inspect clothing before you resell it, even little nooks and crannies. Another thing that I bought that I wish I hadn't, I'll occasionally go through handbags and purses. I don't know a lot about them. I figured I would try to learn about them. One thing I quickly learned was don't pick up change purses. No one carries change anymore. Maybe a subset of our population does, but fewer and fewer people over the years are. They're all going to digital currency. Inflation's leading to more paper currency. So maybe if something's branded and the price is right, go for it. This had an initial on it, and I realized later it was from the 70s when people would have change purses with their initials on them. So because it was not branded, it was not valuable. So we're gonna try to fire sell this. Going through our bag here. This was interesting when I first saw it. It's old, it's Jim Beam, looks like a trophy, but it's plastic. And so old like whiskey memorabilia or beer memorabilia, do very careful homework on. If the price is really low, there's probably a decent reason for that, unless you strike gold on rare occasion. But I sat on this a long time. I think the fact that it's a plastic trophy is probably the main reason that I've been unable to sell it. Calculators. Careful when you buy calculators. Most of the time, certain ones like TI-34, TI-85s, if you pay $1 or something, they'll go. The problem I had with this one was it was really marked up by the kid who owned it, and I thought I would be able to clean off all of that, and I could not. So glad I didn't invest much in it, but it's not sellable with this much tagging on it. Tumblers. Careful on what type of tumbler. This was a rookie mistake. I paid $5 for a Contigo when I thought all tumblers were valuable. Turns out even not all Starbucks tumblers are valuable. Not all of that other tumbler that everyone talks about right now are valuable. Some of them even have lead in them apparently. So again, look at comps carefully. Probably just better to avoid them because they're heavy to ship. If you find a good clean one, just use it, but don't buy it. I also do a lot in neckties. A lesson I've learned on some though is, as cool as they could be, look carefully for stains. This one has a stain right at the bottom. So while it's a cool Disney or not Disney, Looney Tunes that someone would pay $20-$30 for, because if it's thematic content, they're gonna have to have it cleaned. So when you're looking through clothes again, look for stains, be very careful. I've had a couple action figures that I got for low prices. I find that those also you have to be careful on. Do your comps, do your homework. Pirates of the Caribbean, not going for much. So luckily in the lot in which I bought this, I had enough other pieces that it didn't matter. But yeah, careful what you pick. Be good at what you're doing in those cases, or take $0 or $1 risks. As I had said in past videos, Plush. I have been just burned on Plush. There are some that are rare. There are bolos that friends of mine can find, like Crow's Thrifty Finds, and she's good at it. I've just learned that I'm not. I've got my last box of Plush that I couldn't resell. It's going to be sold, but fire sold. Even interesting ones, I thought, like a rainbow poop emoji plush. No one's interested. Easter themed, nope. Santa themed from the 90s. Thought it would go. Couldn't get $10 for it. From the 60s to early 70s, this one's kind of canceled, Speedy Gonzalez, but nope, no interest. More recent Disney, no interest. Beanie Babies, very, very low interest, because again, many of them, if they're not rare or errors, will cost as much to ship as they are, as people are willing to pay for. And then I even tried briefly like paying $1 for rare niche cartoons that like came and went in the hopes that they came back, and you have the only one. It might take 10 years to sell this, so it's time to make room. All right, let's go through one more box, try to have a couple more pearls of wisdom before we switch gears. Cigar boxes. I thought old cigar boxes might be valuable, especially ones that could be Cuban. Well, look carefully, because sometimes they're a brand that's made in Cuba and Nicaragua, so then they're not collectible. So again, $1 or 50 cents a piece I paid for these. I didn't get too burned. I could burn them to keep warm if I had to, I suppose, but I think these need to move on. Not as collectible as I thought. So I would avoid wooden boxes that might seem cool unless you have a use for them at home. Tote bags, I would be careful about. Pay, again, very little for them. Make sure they're large enough to be used. This one, I don't know why it didn't sell. It's a Schrute Farms making fun of the office tote. I might just use this for myself, but it's not super big. And so that could be why it didn't sell. It could just be that people have enough tote bags that they're not worth looking for on eBay. So kind of a quick lesson learned, didn't cost me much. Digging through the rest of the box, we got, again, a couple hat mistakes, tie mistakes. Another Plush mistake. This was a frozen Olaf doll, and I think, again, it's one of those, it's as heavy and expensive to ship as it will cost to buy, and it was dusty. And so I think someone, even if they blew a spray air gun on it, they're not gonna get a ton of dust off, so it just doesn't look very good. So my mistake was getting too excited that it was new in packaging, but the dustiness I think detracted from its value. Got this for free, put it on Marketplace. No one's interested in it. It takes up a lot of space. So a lot of VTech toys, you'll look and see some comps, but not a lot of volume on those comps. Maybe something worth having on Marketplace, but again, I had maybe one person interested in about 2 years and they flaked, and so it's time to just fire sell it. Other items that I have bought in lots but not been able to sell individually, but I've made my money back, so it's time to cut your losses. So keep notes on things that you're buying. If you buy a bunch of things in an outing and you know you've doubled or tripled your money already, and you've got a couple laggards that just aren't going, like a random lunchbox or an awkward sized Kansas City Royals poster. These things, if you've already made your money, just move on, make room so you can put other fresher, more valuable things up and make money faster. Couple last pearls of wisdom. Let's see here. There's a few more hats. Sometimes old video games that are like from the 80s and 90s can be valuable, but do careful comps on them. Again, this one I didn't pay anything for, so I didn't lose anything, but I sat on it long enough. It does work. They're entertaining, but just not as much demand, so I wouldn't pay money for things like this unless they're, you know, extremely cheap and you can move them over time. This doesn't take up space, so it's not the end of the world. Another youth hat, bad idea. And then a Clifford the dog puppet from the 90s. Thought this would be interesting or valuable or nostalgic because it was from the 90s. Clifford's a brand. Again, can't sell it for even a few bucks. So another one of those where I'm befuddled by Plush, and it's frustrating to me. So this is kind of what I humbly submit to you as my recent failures as a reseller. Obviously, I have more successes than fails, but it'll be nice to make some room and get rid of these guys. And the way in which I'm gonna do it is the next part of this video. So I wanna throw a shout out to a person who watched my first video in this kind of series, B. Dawson 1869. They gave me a great idea. They'll take items that they can't resell over a period of time, and they will set up a garage sale where everything's $1. So that's what I'm gonna do. My son, who's 9 years old, is gonna put up an ad with me on Craigslist, and we are gonna throw a garage sale for just 4 hours, because that's all I think his attention span can handle. And everything's $1 that you saw on this table, and we're gonna see how much of it we can get rid of, and he gets to keep all the money. Now, a couple reasons for doing this. One, making room. Two, in Chicago, they make you pay permits to do garage sales, and the permit would be more than all of this stuff would sell for, most likely. So if I have my son doing it, they have a recent revision to those laws in which a kid can run a lemonade stand and not have to pull a permit. So in our lovely city of Chicago, my son's gonna do his own version of a lemonade stand, get to keep all the money, and I'm just there to support him like a parent supporting their kid in a lemonade stand. So let's see how it went. Okay, so now it is the fun part. We get to put everything outside, get Jackson all the cash that he can get for these items so we can move them along and make some room. All right, we're bringing stuff out for the big sale. Watch your step.
Charlie's going home. He's probably taking a nap soon. Goodbye.
Okay, packing up. Looks like we're open for business. We've got our boxes of stuff here. Okay, we got some bags for people. Got our sign, everything $1. And how do you think you want to organize everything?
I want to organize it by these are hats, so they should go because these are older temporary hats. Like this one I can tell is old because the inside is not like this one. So like they're older.
All right. It looks like some of these things you didn't even know I had in here. Any surprises?
Technically,
a mummy?
The mummy.
Okay.
Like,
cool.
that is gross.
Well, that's fine. Got more hats. All right.
Ooh, these are like something they would use in like a forest or in the Philippines, or a golf hat.
Maybe on a golf course, yeah.
Use that to cover your head.
Oh, another plush.
Ooh, a
Ooh, what's that? A watch? Cool.
And this good old plushie.
So we're about 30 minutes in, still hoping to get our first customer. Jackson's a little frustrated, but you're hanging in there, right?
Yep.
All right. And it looks like we had our first sale. What'd you sell?
A calculator.
Sweet, we got $1 for it?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's hope we got some momentum now. So we're all smiles. We finally had a bigger sale. How much did you sell?
Like 4 stuff.
4 items, that's $4. Very good. And we have a little helper. Hi, Cole.
Hi.
All right, so we're in hour 2. We're gonna see how it goes. Okay, so we are nearing the 4-hour mark, and Jackson was able to sell how much?
For 5 things.
5 things. So while we didn't sell as many things as we had hoped, we still had a fun afternoon. And again, these were lessons learned about things not to thrift, to resell, because sometimes they can be hard to resell. And the garage sale was, I guess, further evidence of that. Might have been tough just because we didn't have a lot of foot traffic, and maybe we'll do better on another weekend. So we might hold on to this stuff a few weekends more in case any viewers see anything that they wanted. Speak up and you might be able to come pick it up. Otherwise, in a few weeks, we'll be sending this stuff to Goodwill. And yeah, so lessons learned. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't. And we'll see you again next week. I'm Thrift Store Dave, and this is Jackson.